The morning light spilled across the Forrester mansion like liquid gold, warm and deceptive. For all its radiance, the air inside the house was heavy with secrets. Donna Logan moved quietly through the corridors, the silk of her robe brushing softly against her legs as she carried a tray of tea toward Eric's study. She had grown used to this rhythm, the measured calm of caring for a man she loved, a man who had recently become more fragile, more dependent, more mortal. Or so she believed. For weeks, Eric had played the part of the ailing patriarch perfectly. Trembling hands, labored breaths, a fading voice that carried the weight of farewell. Everyone believed it, Ridge, Brooke, even the doctors. But on this particular morning, something felt off. When Donna entered the study, Eric wasn't in his chair. The oxygen tank that usually hissed beside him was silent, pushed carelessly against the wall. The papers on his desk were perfectly aligned, his sketches neatly stacked. She called his name softly, expecting to find him in the adjacent room resting. Instead, a faint noise, steady, rhythmic, led her toward the private gym at the end of the hall. The door was ajar. She pushed it open and froze. There he was, the great Eric Forrester, standing tall before a mirror, sweat glistening on his forehead as he lifted weights with the precision of a man decades younger. His movements were fluid, confident, powerful, nothing like the frail, dying man he had pretended to be. Donna's heart stopped. For several seconds, she could only watch, disbelief flooding her chest. Then, as if sensing her presence, Eric turned. His expression faltered when he saw her face, shock, confusion, then guilt. "Donna," he said softly, lowering the dumbbell. "This isn't what it looks like." But it was. It was exactly what it looked like. She set the tray down, her voice trembling. "You're not sick. You've been pretending." Eric sighed and sank onto the bench, wiping his brow with a towel. "It's not that simple." Her eyes filled with tears. "You lied to everyone, to me."
"Why?"
What could possibly justify something like this? He looked up at her, the same steady gaze that once commanded runways and boardrooms. "Because it's the only way to save what I built. Ridge has been pushing me out, trying to control everything. If he believes I'm dying, he'll give me what I want. One last chance to lead, to design, to remind the world who I am before it's too late." Donna shook her head, horrified. "Eric, this isn't saving anything. This is manipulation." "Call it what you want," he said quietly. "But I'm fighting for my legacy. Forrester Creations belongs to me. I created it long before Ridge ever picked up a sketchpad. He thinks he's protecting me, but all he's doing is erasing me." His words, though calm, carried the sharpness of steel. For a moment, Donna understood him. The desperation of a man watching his life's work slip from his grasp. But the deception still cut too deep. "You could have told me," she whispered. "You could have trusted me." He stood and took her hand gently. "I couldn't risk it. You love me, but you also love them, your sisters, Ridge, the family. I needed to make sure this stayed between me and my guilt. You weren't supposed to find out like this." Donna pulled away, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You're playing with people's emotions, Eric. With mine. You let us all believe you were dying." He said nothing, only lowered his gaze. The silence was confession enough. In the days that followed, Donna lived with the weight of that secret pressing against her like a stone in her chest. She wanted to confront Ridge, to tell him the truth, but the thought of destroying Eric's plan stopped her. Yet the lie grew too heavy to carry alone. Every time she watched Ridge sit by his father's side, remorse softening his face, she felt sick. Eric was winning, slowly, subtly, pulling the strings of guilt and love like a maestro conducting a symphony of manipulation. But fate has a cruel way of revealing the truth. The night of the Forrester Creations Winter Fashion Gala arrived, a night that promised glamour, legacy, and renewal. The theme was eternal elegance, a tribute to Eric's supposed final collection. The entire fashion world gathered to honor the man they believed was stepping down, weakened by illness, but still burning with creativity. Cameras flashed, Champagne flowed, and the air vibrated with anticipation. Brooke stood beside Ridge, proud and wistful, while Donna hovered in the background, her nerves fraying with each passing minute. When Eric appeared, the audience rose in applause. He entered slowly, supported by a cane, his steps measured, his face pale beneath the lights. The murmurs rippled through the crowd. Admiration, pity, reverence. He was the picture of frailty, and it broke Donna's heart to watch him pretend. Ridge stood beside him, hand resting gently on his father's shoulder, the weight of reconciliation heavy in his eyes. Then the lights dimmed. The runway show began. Models glided down the catwalk in shimmering fabrics, each piece a testament to Eric's genius. The audience was entranced, every design more breathtaking than the last. As the final model exited, the applause erupted again. Ridge stepped forward to speak, his voice choked with emotion. "Tonight, we celebrate my father, not just his art, but his spirit. This collection represents his final gift to us all." Eric's eyes flickered with something unreadable. Then, slowly, deliberately, he reached for the microphone. "Thank you, Ridge," he said, his voice stronger than anyone expected. "But I'm afraid you're mistaken." The room fell silent. "I'm not done," he continued, standing taller, the cane slipping from his hand. "I'm not dying. Not yet. And this," he gestured to the runway, "is not my farewell. It's my beginning." The gasp that swept through the audience was almost physical. Brooke's mouth fell open. Donna pressed a trembling hand to her chest. Ridge turned to his father, disbelief and rage warring in his expression. "What are you talking about?" Ridge demanded, his voice low and dangerous. Eric smiled faintly. "You wanted to take Forrester Creations from me. You thought I was too weak to lead. So I let you believe it. I wanted to see how far you'd go to protect the company you thought was yours." Ridge's face reddened. "You lied to all of us. You manipulated your family, your son, for a game of power." "It wasn't a game," Eric snapped, his voice echoing through the hall. "It was survival. You were so eager to bury me alive that you forgot who made you. Every stitch, every design, every ounce of prestige this company has, you owe to me." The crowd murmured in shock. Journalists scribbled frantically. Cameras clicked. Ridge's fury boiled over. "Do you even hear yourself? You've become exactly what you accused me of being, power-hungry and cruel." Eric's reply was soft but cutting. "Maybe I learned it from you." The silence that followed was unbearable. Ridge's jaw clenched, his hands shaking. Then, without another word, he turned and stormed out, the doors slamming behind him. The aftermath was chaos. The audience, unsure whether they had witnessed art or scandal, dispersed in a storm of whispers. Brooke tried to steady herself, but her loyalty was torn. Donna approached Eric, eyes filled with tears. "Was it worth it?" she asked quietly. Eric looked at her, exhaustion finally showing through his composure. "Ask me when the company is safe." "But it isn't safe," she said. "You've lost him." For the first time, his voice trembled. "He'll come back. He always does." But he didn't. Ridge disappeared for weeks, cutting off contact with everyone. Brooke found him at his Malibu house eventually, surrounded by sketches he couldn't finish. When she entered, he didn't look up. "He fooled us all," Ridge said bitterly. "He made me feel small. He made me believe I'd killed him with my ambition. And now everyone's calling him a genius again. He got what he wanted." Brooke sat beside him, her voice gentle. "You both want the same thing, Ridge. You both love Forrester. You both need to be seen." Ridge's laugh was hollow. "Love doesn't look like that." Back at the mansion, Eric tried to move on, throwing himself into new designs, new ideas. The press hailed his comeback as a miracle, but behind closed doors, the silence from Ridge haunted him. Donna stayed, though their once effortless warmth had turned cold. Every time she looked at him, she saw both the man she loved and the man who had lied without hesitation. One night, as Eric worked late in his studio, he found an envelope on his desk. Inside was a single note written in Ridge's bold hand. "Congratulations, Dad. You've won. But the company you saved doesn't have a family left to run it. Eric's hands trembled as he read it. The room around him blurred. He thought of every argument, every deception, every time he had chosen legacy over love. For the first time, the victory felt hollow. The next morning, he stood before the mirror, looking at the reflection of a man who had fought his way back from the brink of irrelevance only to find himself utterly alone. He whispered, "What good is a kingdom when the heirs have all walked away?" But fate, as always, was not finished with the Forresters. The press had turned their family's feud into theater, and rival fashion houses circled like sharks. Forrester Creations was once again the center of the fashion world, but this time, for all the wrong reasons. Ridge would return eventually, as he always did. But when he did, it wouldn't be for reconciliation. It would be for war, a war not just for power but for redemption. And in the quiet between storms, Donna Logan watched them both from the sidelines, torn between love and disillusionment, knowing that no one truly won in a family built on beauty and deception. Because in the world of the bold and the beautiful, every truth was a mirror, and every reflection carried the shadow of a lie. The fallout from Eric's deception did not end with humiliation. It ignited a wildfire that consumed everything in its path. The aftermath of the gala became the talk of Los Angeles, the front page of every industry publication, and the whispered scandal at every social event from Beverly Hills to Milan. Eric Forrester's resurrection, the headlines read, but beneath the glittering language lay a darker truth. The world had witnessed a father dismantle his son's dignity in front of an audience of thousands. Ridge's name, once synonymous with elegance and mastery, had become the punchline of a story about betrayal, power, and deceit. For weeks, Ridge avoided everyone. He shut himself away in his Malibu home, blinds drawn, sketches torn. The phone rang endlessly, Brooke, Steffi, even reporters, but he didn't answer. He wasn't angry anymore. Anger was clean, sharp, survivable. What he felt now was worse, the hollow ache of exile. Everywhere he turned, his father's voice echoed in his head. "You were so eager to bury me alive that you forgot who made you." The board at Forrester Creations, desperate to preserve the company's reputation after the scandal, convened an emergency meeting. When Ridge finally appeared, summoned more by duty than hope, the atmosphere was brutal. Eric, seated at the head of the long table, looked restored, healthy, powerful, untouchable once again. Donna sat beside him, eyes downcast, unable to meet Ridge's gaze. Carter, silent as a shadow, shuffled through contracts. Brooke lingered in the corner, her expression torn between pity and disbelief. The chairman cleared his throat. "Given recent events, we must consider what's best for the company's future. The public reaction to the gala has been divisive. Our clients are uneasy. Investors are questioning the stability of leadership." Ridge straightened, his jaw tight. "Are you suggesting I'm the problem?" Eric didn't flinch. "I'm saying you've become a distraction. This company doesn't need another scandal. It needs unity." "Unity?" Ridge scoffed. "You humiliated me in front of the entire industry, and now you want unity? You lied to everyone, father. You faked an illness. You manipulated emotions, contracts, and your own family. And somehow, I'm the one destroying the company." Eric's gaze hardened. "You tried to take everything from me. I only took back what was mine." Ridge leaned forward, his voice trembling with fury. "You took more than that. You took my name, my reputation, my legacy." Eric's reply was quiet, final. "Then build a new one. Somewhere else." The room went still. Brooke gasped softly. Donna's hands flew to her mouth. Ridge stared at his father, the words striking him like a physical blow. "You're firing me? I'm asking you to leave," Eric said, voice low but resolute. "Forrester Creations cannot survive another public feud. You've made it clear that you can't work under me. So go. Start your own line. Create your own empire." But as of today, Ridge Forrester no longer represents this company. Ridge's throat tightened. He looked around the table, searching for anyone to speak, anyone to defy the verdict, but the silence was deafening. Brooke looked away. Steffi, who had joined the meeting late, sat frozen, her loyalty divided. Only Carter's expression hinted at regret, but even he didn't move. Ridge rose slowly, his chair scraping against the marble floor. "You think this is victory?" he said quietly. "You've already lost. You just don't know it yet." And then he was gone. By nightfall, the story had broken. Ridge Forrester ousted from family company amid scandal. The tabloids devoured it, twisting every word, every photo. Paparazzi swarmed his Malibu home. Former clients withdrew contracts. Designers he had mentored publicly distanced themselves. Overnight, Ridge became the fallen prince of fashion, the man who had lost his empire to his own father. Brooke tried to reach him, but he refused every call. She drove to his house once, standing on the porch as waves crashed violently below. When he finally opened the door, his eyes were hollow. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "I had to see you," she whispered. "You can't just disappear." He gave a bitter laugh. "Disappear? That's exactly what I need to do. Everyone thinks I'm toxic. Dad made sure of that. He didn't just take my job, Brooke, he exiled me from my own name." "Then fight back," she pleaded. "Start over. Show them who you are." He looked past her toward the dark horizon. "I tried fighting. It destroyed everything." But Brooke wasn't the only one who came to see him. Days later, Steffi arrived, fierce as ever, demanding he listen. "You can't let him win, Dad. He wanted to break you, to make sure no one ever questioned his control again. Don't give him that satisfaction." Ridge sighed. "It's not about control anymore, Steffi. It's about truth. He thinks he saved Forrester Creations, but all he did was turn it into a graveyard of loyalty." Steffi's eyes glistened. "Then build something better. Prove you don't need his empire to be great." Her words lit a spark inside him, a faint, flickering ember of resolve. But when he finally decided to act, the city had already turned against him. Business partners refused to meet. His designs were rejected by rival houses. Rumors spread that he had plagiarized Eric's work. Within months, Ridge Forrester became a ghost of the fashion world, brilliant, infamous, untouchable. Meanwhile, at Forrester Creations, Eric basked in his resurgence. The company thrived financially. The Forrester Revival collection broke sales records. But beneath the glittering success, fractures spread. The staff whispered about Ridge's exile. The younger designers, those who once idolized him, grew resentful of Eric's tyranny. Even Steffi began to pull away, quietly questioning her grandfather's morality. Donna, unable to bear the strain of guilt, finally confronted Eric one evening in his studio. "You got what you wanted," she said softly. "You proved you're still the king. But at what cost?" Eric didn't answer. "He's your son, Eric," Donna continued, her voice shaking. "You banished your own blood. You humiliated him in public. Do you even recognize yourself anymore?" He turned toward her, his expression unreadable. "I did what I had to do to protect this family." "No," she whispered. "You did what you had to do to protect your pride." That night, Eric couldn't sleep. The mansion that once felt like his fortress now seemed haunted by ghosts of laughter, love, and betrayal. He poured himself a drink, staring at the reflection in his glass. The man looking back at him was triumphant, but also utterly alone. Weeks passed. Then one morning, an unexpected headline appeared. "Ridge Forrester relocates to Paris, rumored to launch independent label." The accompanying photo showed him stepping off a plane, head high, eyes burning with something Eric hadn't seen in years, defiance mixed with freedom. Brooke saw it too. She brought the paper to Eric, her expression unreadable. "He's gone," she said. "For good this time." Eric nodded slowly. Maybe that's what he needed. But as he watched the news footage, Ridge speaking in French to reporters outside a new atelier, declaring the birth of Maison Ridge, something in Eric's chest twisted. Pride and sorrow collided. For the first time, he realized that in pushing Ridge away, he might have unleashed his greatest rival yet. Months later, Whispers began to spread through the fashion world. Paris Fashion Week was approaching, and a mysterious new designer, one with a Forrester flair but an edge sharper, more modern, was dominating the buzz. The industry speculated endlessly. When the curtain finally lifted on the show, the crowd gasped. The collection was breathtaking: fluid lines, innovative textures, an evolution of the Forrester legacy reimagined with bold defiance. And there, at the end of the runway, stood Ridge Forrester. The audience rose to its feet, cheering, flashing cameras illuminating his face like lightning. He smiled, not with arrogance, but with peace. In Los Angeles, Eric watched from his office screen, alone once more. The applause thundered through the speakers. Donna entered quietly behind him. "He did it," she said softly. Eric didn't respond for a long time. Finally, he whispered, "He's my son." Donna touched his shoulder gently. "Then maybe it's time to forgive each other." But Eric only stared at the screen, watching the son he had cast out become everything he once dreamed of being. Forrester Creations still bore his name, but in that moment, Eric knew the truth. Legacy wasn't built through control. It was built through creation, and creation had just found a new home in Paris. As the lights dimmed in the studio, Eric whispered into the empty room, "I wanted to save him from my shadow." Instead, he became the light. And miles away, Ridge stood beneath the glittering Eiffel Tower, a single tear slipping down his cheek as the cameras flashed. He wasn't just back, he was reborn. But deep within him, one truth lingered: family wounds, like fashion, never truly go out of style. They just come back, sharper than before.